Hi, this is Roger Peterson and welcome to this video where I'm going to talk about how to apply for Rentista and Investor Residency status in Costa Rica. We're going to talk about what's going on currently in the immigration processing and what you need to know in order to apply and have a successful residency application processed now. First of all, you're going to join thousands of expats from multiple nationalities that already live here in Costa Rica. They've already made the decision, they spent some time, decided, yep, it's for me. I'm going to make Costa Rica my home. Now, with that said, we also have a strong foreign direct investment. We have over 200 multinational companies that also have headquarters and operate here out of Costa Rica. Does this mean that Costa Rica is going to be perfect for you? Of course not. That's only a decision that you can make on your own. And the best way to make it is to actually spend time in the country first to see if it's going to be the right fit. Now, for those of you that are ready to make the transition to Costa Rica and you don't want to be coming in and out every 90 days as a tourist, let's now look at the residency option on how to apply for either Rentista or investor status. That's what we're going to focus on now in this video. Everything that you do will be before the Department of Immigration. What you're seeing here is the offices of immigration in San Jose. Now you'll be dealing with the San Jose office or one of their 6 regional offices, depending on where you're going to be living. I'll include a link in the video description to the contact information for the Department of Immigration. Now, due to COVID, immigration at the present time is not accepting walk-ins. You must have an appointment to even show up at immigration. So some of these lines that you see were in the past were people that were either applying for residency for the first time, they were checking the status of their file, or they were renewing a residency application. You would just walk into immigration. They had a certain number of spots available for that day, and if you were lucky enough and got one of those spots, then you would be tended to at the customer service window of immigration. That all is not working right now. It's only by appointment. Okay, so let's get into the actual immigration application process so I can take you step by step, each step of the way, so you understand what you need to do. So the first step in getting your application for residency filed is going to be to request the appointment. Since you can't walk into immigration, the only way is to request the appointment. This has created a pretty big backlog of appointments. So get in there and get that appointment as soon as possible so that you are in line to be able to file your application. To request an appointment, go to the website of the Department of Immigration, and here where it says citas, that means appointments, you click on that and you're going to the services platform, and so there you go. You have to create an account. So when you create an account, then you're going to be able to register, and once registered, you can create that appointment. If you have hired an attorney to represent you during the immigration process, they can get these appointments for you. The attorney will also have access to the attorney window at the Department of Immigration, which is also opened recently as well, to be able to do filings and check files as well. Of course, you also have the option of representing yourself during the entire process. Okay, so let's look at the actual application. Now, there is not a standard form. So if you're looking for an application form, there is none. So basically, this is the typical application that we use. Now, the application has to be in Spanish, but for purposes of this video, I've made a translation of the typical form that we use. So here it is. We generally do it in 2 pages. So the first part is where we describe the name of the applicant. We have to indicate the nationality of the applicant, and then we set forth the passport number as well as where the passport was issued. Then we make it clear that we're applying, in this case, for Rentista residency. We set forth the date of birth, father's name and nationality, mother's name and nationality, the date the applicant entered into Costa Rica. Then we have to manifest an expressed desire to obtain residency in Costa Rica. And then the second part here is where we put down the source of income. So we're applying for Rentista, and we're saying that the income is coming from a local bank, and the amount to qualify for Rentista is $2,500 per month, so that would go there. We list a temporary address where you're going to be living in Costa Rica. And then in the next page, we set forth all the supporting documents that are going to go with your application. Now, in the next steps, I'm going to go over all these in more detail, but here's a summary of what's required to support your application. Then in the end, you select the place where you want to receive notices. It could be your email address if you're representing yourself. It generally will be the attorney that's representing your file so that their office is involved in the process. So now that you have an overview of the application process, let's go into more detail as to how you qualify for either Rentista or inversionista. Let's break both of these down for you. To apply for the Rentista category, you need to demonstrate that you're going to have income of at least $2,500 per month. Now that will include your dependent spouse and any children under the age of 25. So how do you prove that income? You're going to need to obtain a letter from your bank or financial institution that will certify that income for you. That is done by way of a letter that has to clearly indicate that the income you're going to receive is done in a permanent and stable manner for the next 2 years. This wording is essential, otherwise it won't be accepted by immigration. If you are unable to obtain that type of letter from your bank or financial institution, then your alternative is to use a Costa Rican bank. The way that works is that you can open an account with a Costa Rican bank, you could deposit $60,000 with that Costa Rican bank, and then that bank will turn around and give you $2,500 per month for the next 2 years. And by doing it this way, they will issue the letter for immigration as well. Now, if you're applying under the Investor Residency category, that requires, at this moment, an investment of $200,000. The most typical type of investment is when somebody buys real estate, they buy a home, they buy an investment property, a rental property. That is the most typical. But you can aggregate the investment. In other words, you can buy a $150,000 property, you can have a car worth $25,000, you can have some cash in a bank account, so you can accumulate it all together, and you hire a CPA and they will certify the investment of $200,000 for you. So by documenting the source of income, whether it's rentista or inversionista, we put this out on our application, and this now lets us move forward to the next part of the application, which is providing all the supporting documents that go with the application. So let's take a look at that next. So with your application, you're going to have to attach your birth certificate. If you're applying with your spouse, then the marriage certificate, copy of your entire passport, some photographs, and then your police background clearance report. If you're from the US, it has to be an FBI report. You can get more information directly on their website, which I am going to include in the video description as well. In addition to the criminal background search from your home country, you're also going to have to be fingerprinted here in Costa Rica, so that the local Ministry of Public Security will also do their own background search as well. To get your fingerprints, this is also done by appointment. So you go to the website of the Ministry of Public Security. I'll include a link in the video description. Here we are on the website. So you go to the page where it says Saque Cita, means get your appointment. And you click there, you enter all your information, and this is where you'll be able to register your appointment. Your application requires a cover sheet, which is a background information sheet called Formulario de Filiación. It's what I'm showing here on the screen right now, and basically they'll input the file number, they'll put your photo on there, and then all your personal information, place of birth, father, mother, civil status, education level, your profession, when you enter Costa Rica, the passport number, and everything for notices. So this is just a cover sheet that every file in immigration has to have. Next, let's touch base on how to authenticate the documents that you have from your country of origin and what you need to do to have them recognized in Costa Rica. Because people assume that because you have a certified birth certificate, let's say from your home country, that Costa Rica will accept it, and that's not the case. Your documents need to go through an additional process of legalization, authentication, called an apostille. Let me run through an example using a Florida birth certificate. So here we have a birth certificate of the state of Florida. Then we have to send that certificate to the Secretary of State of the state of Florida. That is the government agency that is authorized to issue these legalizations, these apostilles. So if you have a certificate from California, it goes to the California Secretary of State. If it's from New York, to the New York Secretary of State, and so forth for all 50 states. If you're from the United States, you have several companies out there that will get this information for you. They'll get the certified birth certificates, then they'll help you do the apostille and the legalization process as well. For other countries, you should check with your Ministry of Foreign Relations as to the procedure to legalize documents. Canada, for example, is not a signatory to the Apostille Treaty, so therefore this procedure is not available for Canadian documents. There you have to send them to the Canadian Foreign Trade Office, and then they're going to have to go to the Costa Rican consulate in Canada for authentication. Now, once you have all your original documents back and they're all apostilled and duly legalized, you got one more step, and that is to send them out to an official translator who can translate all the documents that you've brought from abroad and translate them into Spanish for use in Costa Rica. So now you have your full package together. You've got the application, you've got the background information form, you've attached your proof of income or investment to the application, and you also have all the supporting documents that we already discussed. On the date of the appointment that you were provided and at the place that you requested it, then you can show up with all your originals and turn them into immigration for processing. Take with you a copy as well so that they can stamp the copy as receipt of all the original documents. So now that you've turned in all your documents to the Department of Immigration, they're going to turn around, they're going to give you this receipt, exactly as you're seeing on the screen, and that's going to be your proof that you have filed residency and are waiting for a final resolution. This is important because once you've filed, you no longer have to leave the country once your tourist visa expires. So this filing process is based on the current physical filing based on an appointment. Now, immigration has set up an online platform and they've been testing that platform, but not all categories are yet available for filing. For example, right now, Rentista and Investor are not available on that platform. I'm including a link in the video description to the site so that when it's available, you can certainly see there. And as we have more information or updates, we will let you know. The next question everybody asks is, how long is this going to take? Remember when I started out, I mentioned that there was a backlog to get the filing appointment. So once you get the appointment to file, then add another 6 to 12 months to be able to be approved. That's under current circumstances. This is taking into account the delays caused by COVID. So if that changes, we will update you as well. Once you're approved, you're going to get a formal resolution, formal findings of fact from immigration stating that you've been approved. And it looks exactly like this that I am showing you on the screen. Once you have this resolution, then you have 3 months to come to Costa Rica if you're not already here in order to finalize the process. Part of that requirement is that you register and pay into the Costa Rican mandatory health insurance coverage called La Caja. So once you've paid into this, you'll get a proof that you've are registered, and with that you show that to immigration, and then you can complete the final step, which is getting your residency card called a DMEX in your hand. Before we look at the residency card, let me touch briefly on how they calculate the amount of health insurance that you're going to pay. And it's going to be based on the amount of income that you reported. So in Inversionista, they take it at $2,500, Rentista as well. So they take that amount as your income, and now they're going to subtract your living expenses to come up with a net. And it's based on that net. Depending on that amount, there's a sliding scale that goes from around 6% to around 11, and that's what you're going to end up paying. Once you have satisfied all the requirements, you will be given the residency card that looks exactly like what's on the screen. Now, as long as you're not absent from Costa Rica for 2 consecutive years, when you have temporary residency, or 4 years for permanent residency, you can always continue to renew your residency status in Costa Rica. Well, thank you for watching the video. I hope I've been able to answer at least some of your questions related to immigration processing, and specifically Rentista and Inversionista status. For more information, of course, you can always visit our blog at costarica.law.com.